Well, tomorrow it's finally here, the deadline for voters in Denver to cast their ballot in our very crowded mayoral race. Joining us now to discuss tomorrow's Denver city election, someone who knows quite a bit about them. He's been in charge of them for quite a while, Alton Dillard, who worked with the Denver Clerk and Recorder's Office for 17 years until retiring last December. You're also a lifelong Denver resident. You and I have known each other for quite some time now.
Yes.
I think everyone's talking about turnout with this race and the disappointing numbers we're seeing so far, that we're just not seeing that many people stepping up to vote yet.
Yeah, one of the things that's interesting about that, last time I checked the numbers, it was around 14%. Denver voters have a tendency to vote late anyhow, so there'll probably be a rush, but not a huge rush that's going to get people up to certain levels. So we're not sure if it's, necessarily voter fatigue or if people just aren't tuned in, but this election is seismic. We're coming off 12 years of having one administration, and so you can't sit out being able to have your voice heard in shaping the city for the foreseeable future.
I know they've been saying a lot of older voters have been the ones that have been voting so far, but this is a city that represents so many different age groups, and you want to get them out there, but there's 16 candidates. Is that part of the problem? It's like...
Yeah, that is part of the problem. There's a couple things, and you're on the point there, Kim, because the largest voter turnout and the largest voter demographic, it really has been in that mid-20s to about 32. And so that's one of the things that's interesting about, say the endorsements. A lot of people who are voting were not voting age when Wellington Webb was mayor, when Bill Ritter was governor. And the other thing that people have to keep in mind is that this is a nonpartisan election. There's no huge ideological extremes. You have a bunch of Democrats and one Republican who essentially agree on what needs to happen. It's just what means to make that end occur is the denominator.
Your role has always been apolitical. So you look at the voting counts, the numbers, with that technical aspect. I think people are wondering, not only who is going to emerge, there's all likelihood going to be a runoff, but how much vote will they garner? I mean, will it take 15% to be at the top tomorrow?
The pundits I've been hearing from say somewhere between 12 to 15. Back in the 2011 election, the three top vote getters were north of 25%. And one little quick factoid here, Michael Hancock actually was the second place. Chris Romer actually won that first election back in 2011. And then James Mejia, who you've had on your air, actually finished only about 1,000 votes in third place.
Well, we've seen that the come from nowhere candidate who included John Hickenlooper. We've seen that happen in Denver regularly almost, where you almost don't want to be ahead too early.
Exactly. And so the thing you also want to look out for is people are going to have to energize their base, because yes, there are certain people on TV, there are certain people on social media, but you've got to get out and knock doors and get in front of your voters. And I would say of the 16 remaining candidates, there's a whole bunch of them that could pull 12 to 15%, either because they're a former legislator, a current legislator, a political veteran who's been around the city government for so many years. So it's going to be a true free-for-all. So we want to make sure that people understand that, again, the election is never official until it is certified. There's a chance, especially if something's close, that people may go to bed with two people in first and second on election night, and that may change by Wednesday morning. So you have to let the votes get counted.
Because we're running out of time, but you don't think that we'll necessarily be able to call the media, be able to make a call tomorrow night, 9, 10 o'clock?
9, 10 o'clock is probably going to be pushing it. Now, of course, the other thing that happens is the ballots that you see that get in the reports after 7 p.m., that's everything cast on Election Day. So the first numbers you'll see at 7 p.m. were through the early voting period, and then we may have a better idea, but there's been hardly any polling, and so it's going to be interesting to see who breaks out of the pack.
You're going to be here tomorrow night, though.
Yes, I will.
So that'll be helpful.
Alton gets to spectate an election for the first time in a long time. It's always good to see you. It's going to be very interesting. We'll follow it tomorrow with you.
Likewise. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're looking forward to
Alton Dillard joining us. Of course, we're going to have complete coverage tomorrow night on the mayor's race, the future of the Park Hill Golf Course, all the results coming up on 9 News at 9 o'clock on Channel 20, then followed by 9 News at 10 over on Channel 9. Much more coverage as well on the 9 News app.